Alright, starting over. WiggleCulture here. Today I'm putting up a perimeter of trees along the road. So I've taken a rototiller and rototilled the ditch. It'll make it a lot easier to plant these trees. I'm going to use an 18 to 24 inch spacing, and it's a thorny, fast growing tree. I'm going to use it as a privacy fence and even protection. It's like barbed wire. A living wall of barbed wire. Very difficult to get through. So I'm going to use it to hold back goats and cows and hopefully everything else. I don't think people will be getting through it very rapidly. It's going to slow you down. It's going to hurt to get through. And it'll also give me privacy from the road, help with the noise, and just give me less prying eyes on whatever's going on here. So I'm putting it along the road and along my driveway here. Got this new driveway we're putting in for the sawmill. And we're going to use Osage Orange. It's a hedge apple. It drops those little green fruits, big green fruits, about the size of a grapefruit. Kind of looks like a brain. Not edible. Useful in other ways. Anyway, we'll see how many trees we have and what our final spacing will be. But I think using a rototiller saves a lot of work. I'm also getting swale and terrace out of it, a valley and a hill, to help hold moisture on my property, keep it from running into that ditch down there, running down the driveway and running out. Part of this land slopes back towards the road. So that water all makes its way elsewhere. I like to keep all my water possible. As you can see over there, that's all downhill. So I am going to be slowing down water and infiltrating it. So that's good. And I'm also, some of it I feel like I either hit old roadbed or just some really patches of gravel. Very difficult for the tiller to get through. So instead of trying to dig down, I'm going to plant the trees as deep as I can. Then I'm going to bring in some of that dirt over there that when DOT put in the culvert or replaced the culvert, I asked them to drop that mound of dirt in my yard. They thought I was crazy. But now I have something to put around these trees. And then we'll use the loader to scoop up some of that old hay. And then we're just going to put the hay around the trees and mulch it in so they don't have to worry about weeding them, fighting weeds. And then when I get ready to graze this, we're going to put up a whole nother set of cattle panels and T-posts. But only 16 foot on center. I'll just put one T-post on each end of the 16-foot cattle panel just to hold it in place. And that'll keep the cows and goats from tearing up my little trees. And then I'll let them grow that way for a few years. Then I'll tear it down, temporary fence, and they can graze. They won't be able to hurt those trees once they get to a certain height. Because they're thorny, they're not going to be picking at the bark much. Even the goats will kind of leave them alone. At least that's the plan. So I'll give you a picture of where my Osage Orange saplings are. Alright, so here's the Osage Orange. They're getting 6 to 8 feet tall, some of them. They start off in 1-gallon trade pots. These thorns, they get to be pretty formidable. So if you could imagine just trying to push your way through this, just not very likely. So we're going to plant them close together. As they get bigger, we may harvest every other one and then let them grow and then harvest the other ones, because stump sprouts, these sprout back pretty well. They like to grow. So we're going to get these pulled out of the ground. We're going to try to save as much root as we can on them. They've been in here a couple years, too long. It's actually a black locust here, but you can see the tree or the roots have just come through the thing. So we'll probably just end up cutting the pots, and Mikey's just yanking away at that root. So you can just go ahead and chop it, Mikey. And we're going to get all these loaded in a truck, drive them over there, and space them out. So we'll fill you in later. Alright, here's an update. We got all those Osage Oranges torn out. It's quite a chore, actually. There's some Chinese chestnuts back about 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago. This was just a walkway before those black locusts came in at all, before I planted them. And I just threw a bunch of white oaks and Chinese chestnut acorns seeds underneath my layer of wood chips. So these just came up on their own. I'm going to dig them up and move them. So there's white oaks in there, and there's Chinese chestnuts, and they're just kind of scattered through here. I'm not sure if that black locust there escaped the pot or if it's a root from one of these other trees over here, but I gotta move it. But I'll get this all cleaned up. Found a few black locusts still in pots, so we'll plant those somewhere in the garden to help nitrify the soil and to grow me fence posts. I'm not sure where I'll put them at this point, because I have all the way down to that big persimmon. I have a line of trees already. So I have black locust all the way along here. So I'm not sure. We'll figure something out though. But yeah, they're definitely barbed wire. The Osage Orange. It tore me up pretty well getting them out of there. So how many ever we have here, we're going to space them along the road and just, see what we end up with. Then I'll show you how we're going to plant them. So we end up with 105 trees and 308 linear feet of fence or driveway and streets are lined. So it's every 3 feet with a couple leftovers to fill in when one or two dies. Now I had some of the soil was more thin and some of it was really thick and rich. The roots, the trees with a lot of roots coming out of the bottom, I'm going to save that for the really rich parts. In the shallow soil I'll be putting the little trees in. I think they'll have a lot better chance to get going in that shallow soil. Those deep ones, we cut off a lot of roots, so they're going to need to be deep from the start because they have a lot more foliage to support. So we're going to put the biggest rooted trees in the best soil. And obviously the richer soil, they're going to grow much quicker, and you already put in a bigger tree. But I think it'll kind of equalize over time. We shall see. But the thinnest, rockiest parts along the road, so that'll be my least cover for the time being. So yeah, this will be a living barbed wire fence for sure. We'll probably weave them together as they grow, maybe even just like fold them over. So we're not trying to get the height, we're trying to get the width. Trying to get that fence up, natural fence, as fast as possible. Then we can take down all our panels and T-posts and use it somewhere else. Give you a shot when we're done with all that. So every 3 feet is spacing.